When we approach a question, any question, short answer, extended response or report, it's really important, as I said before, that you choose those key terms. Identify them, mark them out, understand what they mean. The next part is to go through and try and find the link back to the syllabus, because they often put a little anchor there to take you back to where the syllabus, what they want to test, what they want to find out to see if you know. So if you can take the time to deconstruct the question carefully, you've got a much better chance at answering it really well. So you'll firstly look at the key term. Let's do one together. So here's a question. We can see describe, explain and evaluate. What you need to do is you need to make sure that you can recognise what these key terms are, and not only that, you need to recognise what they mean. Describe, provide characteristics and features of. Explain, relates cause and effects, tells us how and or why. And then evaluate, makes a judgment based on criteria. So of this question, you would be spending less time on the describe and the explain component and more time on the evaluate. And that's where more marks will be attributed because it's higher order verb. Let's look at a real example from a student in the recent trial examination. Notice how the student has used the parts around the outside of the page when they've been deconstructing the question. They've given themselves little clues, little tips back from the syllabus, little links back to that syllabus, things that they know they want to blend into their answer to make their answer a really useful answer. Here are a few of those images now. So we've now looked at the exam, what to do on the day of the exam, and how important it is for you to do lots of questions and deconstruct the questions. But what about what style suits you? We're all different. Some people learn because they like looking at visual things, visual stimulus. Others learn because they can listen to it. Others learn by writing, the physical activity, that kinesthetic movement. Now, to learn your learning style, you can go to what's called VARC. I'll put a web link at the end for you. That will let you find out what type of learner you are, and then you can tailor your learning and your study to the sort of learner that you are. If you're visual, you might need to draw a whole series of mind maps. You also might find that by doing things in particular colours, the colour will make a difference and the colour will resonate with you and help you to remind you. You might find that you learn really well by listening. Now there's a program called Audacity, it's free to download, and then you could record your study notes and then listen to them. You can even listen to them while you're walking the dog, saving lots of time, or while you're at the gym on the treadmill, if you can hear it over the loud music. So see how you go. Find out the learning style that suits you. Then you have to think about what other techniques could you use for your study. It might be that you're really good at coming up with little rhymes. Look at the syllabus, come up with some rhymes to try and remember the things under each dot point, to try and help you and act as a trigger when you're in the exam so that you can go back and have a think, well, what did that say under that dot point? And that little rhyme might help trigger your memory. Because if you have a connectedness to the information, if you feel a connection to the coursework, then you will find that when you go to answer that question and you deconstruct it, you will make sure that you can write a much, much better answer. Firstly, some websites you might like to go to. The New South Wales Students Online, run by the Board of Studies, so you can't go for a better place to find out your information. After all, they're the ones that set the exam for you. There's another one called ATAR Confidence. ATAR Confidence is great because although it has some really cute little pictures on it, not only that, you can choose to do some questions and it will do self-marking for you and email you the answers. You can choose to do 20 questions at a time, 10 questions at a time for multiple choice for a range of topics. That one's also useful for a range of different subjects as well. And of course, other things you might like to go and investigate are programs such as Audacity. Now there are other programs you can use to record your voice, but that's one that's probably quite good and useful. Now those websites, obviously free for you to access. There are other things that you might like to use that will cost, but they're great resources. One is going to the Board of Studies site and looking at the workbooks. Years ago they initiated what's called standards packages. Some of those standards packages are probably getting a little bit old. Still useful, but there are newer ones out, and they're calling them HSC workbooks. Now HSC workbooks have in them questions, worked examples, and actual student responses from past HSCs showing you what a top student is capable of when answering that question. So you can use those to answer questions and compare what you're doing with what could get you top marks if you were being marked in that particular HSC. And the other one, as I mentioned before, by Bruce Wilcox through Jacaranda, is Study On. Especially important because of the fact that we are using a new syllabus and it only has been tested once in 2012, just to make sure that you do the correct answers to test the work that you have been studying. Hopefully, some of this information, the tips and advice, might just help you do a little bit better in the HSC. Hopefully, we've managed to demystify the Business Studies HSC for you. Good luck.